Okay, in this video I just wanted to tell you about these kind of gloves that I've come across and why I think they're good for sort of filmmaking and photography work. And on YouTube, one of the things, with kind of filmmaking or, being a content creator is it all sort of seems like quite glorified and glamorous. But the reality, at least in my situation, is that it's quite a lot of cold early mornings, and I love a kind of a good AliExpress bargain, and these gloves have kind of been just that. So I'll stick a link in the description. You'll be able to check them out, but I'm just going to kind of go through, why I like these gloves specifically for the type of work that I do. And, I've been through tons of gloves in the past, and these have actually been the best so far, even considering sort of how cheap they are. So I'll kind of run through and kind of tell you why that is. So when I'm out shooting, I do a mix of kind of drone work and camera work. So I'm kind of partially either working on like a monitor or on the back of my camera, or I'm working with the controller. In my case, it's the DJI RC. And the issue is that, gloves for a lot of it, they just don't work. If you've got to do certain taps on menus or intricate screw threads, you're just not able to use that because gloves are kind of too cumbersome. So that means taking your gloves on and off all the time, or you've got to wear fingerless gloves, which for me, I just find that's a bit cold. So what makes these gloves great is that they're not only touchscreen in the forefinger and the thumb. You can also release your forefinger from them, and you can release your thumb. So for kind of more intricate things, so a good example on the DJI RC, you need to get your thumbsticks out of the back, and with a set of gloves on, it's just near impossible. You just can't do it. Whereas with these, you can just kind of pull these up. You can take your thumbstick out, and you can actually screw it into the controller without having to take your gloves off, which for me is great, because otherwise it's like you're taking your gloves off, you've got to put them down somewhere and then sort of sort all of that out, or you try and kind of fumble it with your gloves and then you just end up losing the sticks, and it's just a nightmare. So I really like just having the ability to kind of do that. It's really good. And it also gives you on the camera the ability to actually kind of feel the controls. So, like in my case, I'm using a Lumix camera, and some of the dials and things, it's quite nice to be able to actually like have the tactile touch of them. So the joystick, the shutter, for me, I personally prefer that if I can actually feel them and using the kind of the wheels and the dials on the back of it. And, the gloves themselves, they're pretty nice to wear. They're kind of on the inside. They're this kind of like fleece lined material, so you can wear them for a while and they feel pretty good, and they're sort of warm enough. You could sort of get some like fingerless glove liners for underneath them if you wanted them to be warmer, but they do a pretty good job of keeping your hands warm. They aren't one thing I would say about them, they're not particularly the most attractive gloves in the world. They've got this kind of strange on button on like the forefinger, and the grip on the underside of them is kind of weird looking, but to be honest, they're practical enough for what I need, and they seem hard wearing enough as well, because I'm not doing anything super strenuous in them. And like I say, so far they've been really good. And as I say, one of the kind of better things about them is that you do have this kind of forefinger and thumb touch. So not only can you kind of do the kind of standard, like clicking into something on there and kind of clicking back, you can also do more kind of intricate things. It's obviously quite hard on this screen because it's absolutely tiny, but you can do a click, and then I could also do things like increase the focus or decrease the focus, because I've got the both fingers there available to do it. So rather than having to like set it down and do it with two fingers, or again having to take my gloves off and kind of do it that way, I'm actually able to do that with gloves on, which previously with like the ones I've had, I just haven't been able to do that. And the other fingers on there, it's just a forefinger and thumb that you're able to do that with. These ones don't kind of register at all on a touchscreen device, and it works to kind of varying levels depending on if you've got a screen protector on there and the kind of sensitivity of the screen. But I've found across the devices that I've got, this, my phone, tablet, they seem to work really well so far. And that kind of pinch and zoom feature is really useful for things like maps, obviously, on the DJI handset. And another useful little thing about them is that they've just got kind of like a little clip, which, you know, you get with most gloves, but it's just, you can kind of just clip them together. So when I go out, I can just clip them together, throw them in a bag, and then I know they're both going to kind of be together and I'm not going to lose one of them. But one real bonus of them is that they are just incredibly cheap. So, I mean, for me, I'm constantly kind of misplacing stuff. So I don't really like to take, you know, expensive gloves or accessories or anything like that. So, because it's just another thing, you know, I've got to keep tabs on along with my camera and all my other equipment. And these gloves, like including postage, were just like £4 for the pair. So since I got these and tried them out, I've got another set of them. So, you know, £8 for 2 sets of gloves. And that's sort of in pounds. So, you know, what's that, sort of $12 for like 2 sets of them. So they were about $6 each maybe. And yeah, that's including shipping. In terms of sizing, I did go up to the large sizing on there, and I'm kind of just like a fairly average size person. And for me, a large glove kind of fits perfectly. So they do. There's like a sizing guide on there. Like I say, I'll chuck a link in there, and you can kind of have a look if you're interested in picking some up. But yeah, for me, I kind of went a size up, and it was worth doing it. I think the medium ones would have been like far too small. So yeah, I kind of sized up on it, and yeah, those ones kind of fit me perfectly. But yeah, if you do any kind of work like that and you kind of struggle with, you know, just with gloves and stuff like that, like I say, it's always been something I've always kind of like struggled with a bit, having like a decent set that are kind of quite practical. It's worth checking these out. Like I say, they're only like a few quid, so you haven't really got that much to lose. It's they're kind of worth a go if you think there's something that'll be useful to you. And yeah, if you kind of found this video helpful, give it a like. If you've got any questions or anything, just leave them in the comments. If you want to see more content like this, then please subscribe.